Darcy the Devil!
Mad Liberator.
G'day, how we going? Got Darcy House on today. How are you, bro?
Not too bad. How are yous?
Yeah, good,
Thank
bro.
you.
MMA, bro. That's your sport. That's your go-to.
Yeah. So, I'll sort of give you a bit of a run through. Started off MMA, had 4 fights, and then sort of wanted to try something different. Went to boxing, and then had a kickboxing fight. Haven't had any since then, but got one coming up soon, September.
Yep.
So not long. I think it's 2 weeks from now. But I'm keen as for that. Get back into it.
Yeah, man. How far out of school did you start fighting?
Oh, yeah. Well, I actually started I didn't start younger. Like 18 is sort of when I sort of first got into it. So pretty well started roughly a year after school. Just sort of wanted to do something a bit different.
Yeah, man.
And I never went into it wanting to fight. I just wanted to come to train, and I just loved it. So
Yeah, true, bro. So it was just more like just for like something different, get fit and healthy.
yeah, getting fit pretty well, and just learned a bit of self-defense at the time. Just
100%.
I was like, one of the boys, I think Josh Robbo, I was sort of talking to him. He was in, and then I went down there and was training for a bit for him. And then me and him ended up having our first fight together on the same night, so that was pretty good.
Yeah, it's clean.
Yeah.
So you when you do MMA, obviously you train them all, but do you like doing the kickboxing side a lot more?
Yeah, I definitely prefer striking. So I sort of did MMA for a bit, and then I was getting into like the jits, and then after that MMA, and then the kickboxing classes before. I was getting pretty full on when I was training for a fight. So I was doing like 3 hours a day roughly after work. So it was like getting like pretty draining. But at the time it was just had the just key on just fighting, so it didn't bother me too much. I just had to work less hours and stuff to do it. But yeah, lately I've sort of been wanting to just do more striking, so I'm getting into the kickboxing, boxing side of things.
Yeah.
But
When you say 3 hours training, is that like hour jiu-jitsu, hour kickboxing? Yep.
Yeah, and then our MMA, and just sort of mixing them all together pretty well.
Wow.
All right. So you're obviously training all these at the same place, right?
Yeah. That's at Beast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah,
Yeah, so you with Jace there too.
Yeah. He got me into it all. So,
yeah, cool.
and then, he was pretty well in me corner for all those MMA fights.
Yeah, sweet. Does he train all of them?
Well, he's struggling a bit just with his injuries and stuff.
Yeah.
So it sort of got a bit hard for his coaching to keep everyone on top of it, because his shoulders from when he was in the military was pretty buggered. So, but he would have other people coming in, training us and doing that thing. So it was pretty good.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, cool.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So after you've done your first fight, same night as Big Robbo, it's from there that you just go fuck, I love this. This is what I want to do from here on.
That was pretty well probably still one of my best fights. It went for 23 seconds. And then I got the knockout. But I did not expect that. I thought it would have went the length, and it's pretty full on leading up to it. The emotions you go through, it's just the nerve of not knowing because you haven't done it before.
Yep.
Obviously, if you've done all this training and spent months and months and months training, but I think it's more so instead of the actual fight, just I've spent 3 months of training, and then I could lose this, and it's going to be just a pretty full on thing.
Yeah.
But I loved it. Just the energy from the whole crowd, everything. It was awesome. So
yeah, I know we had Joel on. Even he said his first fight, couldn't hear nothing. Everything was just a blur.
that's pretty well how it is for the first fight. I sort of don't remember the fight entirely, even though it was only so quick.
Yeah.
But he's completely right about it. So he sort of set me up for that. He was training me for that fight too.
Yep.
He trained me for that fight and my second fight in Brisbane.
Yep. You see a lot of athletes and fighters especially, I've seen a few videos now coming out of them saying that they're actually really trying to enjoy training and the fight, because a lot of them go into training and go into the fight and they can't remember shit because there's so much adrenaline pumping and they're all like I think people like Conor McGregor, I think when he was at his peak, like he couldn't even remember like half his fights, like if he had the track back memory wise, because he was just like so like, I don't know how you explain it, but yeah, you just like, you're not really in the moment. It's just like
A blur.
yeah, pretty much blur. Yeah. So
Yeah, well, because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you're, you know, especially at his peak and his height of fighting, there is a lot of, you know, pressure on him to win, to do all this. Like, yeah, it's pretty full on. Like, even at amateur level, like with the crowd there, like you get caught up in it a bit, and it depends on the way different people take it. Like, there was some fight, like people having first fights that, like, they ended up on the fight night running away. Like, he was only a younger fella, but he ended up like running away, didn't want to do it. Just, I've found I've dealt with it best by dealing with like your emotions. Like, they're going to be always going to be hard, nervous. I think Mike Tyson says it. He says something about like, if you're not scared for a fight, you're not human pretty well. I'm not too sure entirely what he says, but something along the lines of that.
yep.
Yeah,
It's just
I
how
recall
you
hearing that.
control your emotions. You either use them to your advantage or you let them chew you out. So
Yep. So you also, like you said, you enjoy your kickboxing, that you've done boxing, kickboxing fights, and then the MMA.
yeah,
So also when you do like the boxing, like is that more just like choice, or, you know, someone's looking for a boxing fight and you just chipped in and jumped, help them out?
well, when it comes to my boxing or my fighting style, I should say, I'm more of a boxer. Like, my kicks are still good, and, you know, like they all come into it. But my main thing is I just love boxing. Like, that's where my style is.
Yep.
And that's sort of where I've been pushing a lot more lately. And also that it's just hard to find the time, because now I'm doing shift work. I'm doing 12-hour days, like trying to find the time to train like jiu-jitsu, all this for leading up to a fight's pretty hard. But I'd prefer the stand-up anyway. So that's pretty well. I'm just at this point in time, I'm trying to figure out if I want to go down the kickboxing route or the boxing.
What weight class and stuff do you fight in?
For my first or most of my fights, I fought at 70, which was lightweight. And then my third fight, I had a title fight at featherweight, and that's 66. I had to do a 6 kilo cut for that.
Damn.
In a week.
In a week?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it's full on. How do you find your cuts? So you deal with them well, or?
I hate cuts, man. They suck.
Yeah.
They're not good for you. Like, I was watching the potty, obviously, what you had with Joel, and he was explaining like pretty well. It's like, just draining your body, dehydrating it slowly. Just draining yourself. And that's pretty well it's like. Like, so what you do in the first few days is you're drinking a lot of water, and you like obviously have a certain amount of calorie intake, and it's not that much. And then you slowly each day you go down your water, and the last day you don't drink any. And you flush it all out of your system, because your body's used to getting that much water. It sort of just flushes it all out of your muscles and your body. And you can lose about, if you do it properly, about 2 to 3 kilos. Like, obviously that's my experience. Other people might do more or less. But then I had to cut, I think it was 2.5, 3 kilos in the sauna on the day.
Fuck.
The
That's
weigh-ins.
insane.
That's a push mentally, eh? Like,
Yes.
obviously it's all mental, but like, fuck to, like, yeah.
So what would that involve? Like, over what time period do you need to sit in a sauna to cut 2 to 3 kilos?
To be honest, it didn't take that long. It took about 3 hours.
So that's just like in cycles of like half an hour, 10-minute break, straight back.
Yeah,
in, or-
so I'd have me sitting in the sauna, and then I'd in there for 30 minutes, and you sort of just like Jason's real good. He'd set up a towel on where your head is, because it was like just the one that wrapped around your body. Put your AirPods in, just watch a movie, and just chill out for 30 minutes, and then he'd pull you out, chuck you in like 4 sleeping bags, and you just lay there. But he'd be doing most of the work, and then from there, you get back in the sauna, or you'd get the other fighters in pretty well. And that's how it just worked. And then until you got down to weight, and he'd feed me a bit of like coffee, just straight coffee with a little bit of water to help me, flush more, obviously, because it's helps dehydrate you.
Yeah.
So, and then, I got down to weight 66, but I was lean. I think there's like a photo of me and like the veins were sticking everywhere. Like I was just, I'd stand up and I'd just see white because I was like that dehydrated.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
And then we had to drive to Rocky to do the weigh-ins. Because I was the main event, they did all the other weigh-ins first and mine last. And I'm like looking at everyone eating food in the pub where they're doing it. I'm like,
you still wouldn't have been able to drink water at that point. God.
It was like, water was just on my mind the whole time.
Far
and
out.
that first sip of water tasted better than any drink I could ever think of.
Damn.
At the time, yeah.
True. So after you weigh in, what's kind of like your meal plan after like getting nutrition back in?
Sort of a bit of like, I didn't really have one. Like I helped rehydrate with the water and stuff. I didn't really follow one. I sort of just, I remember my first fight, I was like cutting and I got to it. And then after I had a big pie, a big meat pie, I was like just looking and I'm like, stuff this, I'm eating it. But I didn't really plan for after the fight. It was just to get the energy back and put the weight on. Like there's a thing a lot of fighters do where after they do their weigh-ins, they'll just eat like a pizza or something like that.
Yep.
It's pretty common.
Yep. So I know with your fighting, like I said, your name's Cowboy. You also wear your hat bloody on up there. So that's kind of like your, I don't know, what would you
fight name? Yeah. Yeah, that's
fight name, but like wearing the cowboy hat, that's kind of like your mark, like everyone recognizes you as like.
Yeah, as the hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of. Yeah. Well, originally that name, I didn't make it up or anything. Jason, like I'd rock up sort of when this is before me first fight, like when I was sort of still new. I'd rock up in the cruiser and then always going up the property and he just called me Cowboy and it stuck. And then he's like, because I'd always have me hat and the dash and stuff and he'd be like, you got to wear that for your fight. Walk in out with it. Your name's Cowboy. I was like, yeah, right here. Stuck.
Cool. Just went from there.
Yeah.
So what do you do for work as well?
Mechanical fitter and turner.
Yeah,
so
right.
I sort of been jumping around doing shutties in a bit and now I'm full time at QAL just looking to get a house and stuff. So, sort of over shutties, working away and stuff like that.
Yeah, working shift work, 12 hours. So what do you do? Like you do your 12 hours straight to the gym, pump out a couple hours of gym and then back home to sleep, eh?
Yeah, well, lately for the past year, so my last fight was April last year and I had a pretty serious injury in that fight and I've sort of taken a bit easy there, but I'm just trying to put on weight. So I think I've put on roughly about 12 kilos since then, just hitting the gym and weights and stuff. Yeah. Just, I was sick of being small because like I'm still like tall, but fighting at like that lightweight, like I was real skinny. So I just wanted to bulk up a bit.
Yeah, for sure. So you're kind of allowed for that you're going to be going up a weight class or two.
Yeah, I think, well, this next fight's going to be at 80 kilos. So I think that's, I forget exactly if it's welterweight or light heavyweight. I'm not too sure. I have to look it up because I'm not too sure on all the weight classes. I just know the ones I did fight in.
Yeah. So that's September 9th up in Yeppoon, eh?
Yeah, up in Yeppoon.
Yep. So when you're looking at your opponents, are you allowing for do you know what their skills are? Like what they specialize in? Like they might be more of a jiu-jitsu, like they're better in jiu-jitsu anyway compared to boxing and that. And are you letting any train that you're doing more jiu-jitsu and like you're kind of watching their post fights? Because I know you guys do have some live streams where you can watch back fights and that. Is that what you're doing? You're kind of like studying your opponent?
Yeah, well, we do a bit. Just depends on if they have the fights that are on YouTube and stuff.
Yep.
So like, give you an example. So my fourth fight, this was a pretty big one. This was for the Beast Australian title.
Yeah, okay.
Just the amateur one against Brody Miyoki. Now, there's the two brothers, the Miyoki brothers, and they're unreal. Awesome. They've been training jits since they're like little kids, like 6 years. Like Brody's like, I've sort of been watching him a bit and supporting him. He just went overseas and won the, I forget the federation, but it was a world title for Australia. Like he's unreal at MMA. like his jits levels were, I think at the time he was versing me, purple belt, and he was 17, and I was at the time 22 or 21 roughly versing him, and yeah, his jits levels, like that's sort of what I trained leading up to that fight, but yeah, he just dominated in jits, like he just knew what he was doing.
Yep.
And he sort of knew that, like he was sort of like, we were talking after the fight, and he sort of knew me striking like was, you know, like it was going to be pretty even striking, but he knew my jits levels weren't nowhere near as good as his, and that's all he did. Like we touched gloves, he was just the whole time trying to take me down.
Yep.
But yeah, he's unreal. Like
Sounds like a BB.
yeah, pretty well. That's like what I did. And that's all I trained leading up to that fight was jits, but no, wasn't prepared for that one.
So I guess
But
you'd
yeah.
like in that fight, you're trying to allow a bit of distance between them so he can't like grab you, and you strike him from afar. Is that kind of like your strategy in that scenario?
Yeah, well, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to like keep the distance and pick him off, but he come in really strong. Like he went to take down. He was like, that's all he wanted to do, and he just pushed. Like he just rammed. Like I wasn't really at that sort of time in the fight. I was like, he just went and just kept driving. Like he was prepared to take a hit to get in.
Yep.
Yeah, and he got me down. Like I think he got me down like 5 times. I kept eventually getting up, and I was just gassing myself in it because it was supposed to be. Well, originally I took it short notice because the opponent he was supposed to fight pulled out, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll fight. And it was supposed to be 4-minute rounds and 5 rounds. It was like 20 minutes of fighting all up. I'm like, holy crap. I wasn't ready for that, like being a short notice fight. Like I wasn't prepping. Like I was just working and just doing normal stuff. And I think we agreed to just do it at 3 rounds, 4 minutes. But yeah, those 4 minutes felt like a lifetime, eh?
How long did you have to train for that one? Like, what short notice did you have?
I think it was like 3 or 2 weeks.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Fuck. That's like a lot, hey? Like,
Yeah, usually like you need like a 9-week camp or 8-week camp, and that's like full on the whole way. And I was sort of like, I was still fit and sort of ready, but my jits levels weren't ready for it. Like, yeah. But he was awesome. Like he was awesome sport about it too. Like he said that after the fight, like I took it short notice and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, we still talk now. He's an awesome fella.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I guess like when you have fight like 2 weeks out, short notice, are they a bit more lenient on like your weight category? Like they kind of like bump up like the weight division range, or?
Not really. It just depends on the promoter too. Like obviously if it's a good fight and they're like, oh, we want this to fight, because they're obviously making money off the fights too. They're like, oh, I really want him to fight. Like I got this bloke who might take it short, but you might say, oh, I don't want to do it this like 5 rounds because it was a championship one.
Yep.
I wasn't training for it. Like I'm just taking it. Like, yeah, it's just a bit lean. It just depends really on the promoter.
Yeah, but also notice like the size of the cage is actually a lot more smaller than your standard like UFC. Is that just like come from what the arenas have on hand, or?
It depends. Like the one I fought up in Rocky in for that title fight.
Yeah, that was tiny.
Did you see that one?
Yeah, I think I seen a video. Yeah, I was looking at it before.
Yeah, that was so small. I hopped in it. I was like, holy, like our one we're used to is a lot bigger.
Yep.
Yeah, it was pretty small. So
Yeah,
it was
he
like,
did the fucking backflip on the cage. I was like,
Yeah.
that's pretty full.
Yeah.
After the one that like hit through the right, knocked him, and just fucking
Yeah, hit him with the-
backflip on the cage.
hit
I
him
was
with the uppercut. I remember hearing Jason like sort of like all the noise blurs out a bit and you don't hear much really. Like you'd think you'd hear it all, but you don't. You're just that focused. And all I hear is Jason yelling at 2-5. Like he was yelling the top of his voice. And that's like a cross and then an uppercut.
Yeah.
I did it the other way. I did a jab and then a right uppercut instead, but it still worked. I ended up knocking him down.
Yep.
that's mad.
But yeah.
Is your right hand like your like power hand?
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah. I'm orthodox. So yeah, me right hand is me cross. So that's the strongest hand.
Yeah, righto.
But I try to keep me like, I like to have a strong jab, but a quick one
Yep.
too.
Yep.
So like it depending on which way, like your crosses take a bit because if they're obviously you're leaning on an angle and your left hand's forward, you got to push it more and you use more power.
Yep.
So like I try to use my jab more because it's a lot quicker and you can get it real snappy if you practice it right.
Yep. So I guess in terms of like you like a striking a bit more and you do like that more boxing pathway, is that what you're looking at doing, potentially changing gyms or looking at, getting a new coach that's more specified in boxing itself? Or
I'm not too sure at the moment. At the moment, with this boxing fight, I was sort of training with the boys. Just around the corner here, actually, there's a fella, Craig. He's got a little setup in his shed just with all mats, and he does jits and stuff. And we got a group chat and all the sort of boys do a bit of training there. Like he lets us use it for free and stuff.
yeah,
So I'm just training with the other fighters at the moment, just doing the boxing there.
Yep.
But I'm not too sure at the moment. I'm sort of just I got a fella I work with, Michael. He trained me for me last fight. I've been doing a bit of training with him too. He's awesome. He for me last fight, he pretty well trained me for a month and a bit, like straight. Like he'd come straight from work, train me, and then correct me form and stuff because he did a bit of Muay Thai and he loves it. He studied, like looks right into it and he knows his stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, he got me real good for the kickboxing, like this combo, like chopping the legs and just working like the teeps and stuff.
Yep. The only difference between kickboxing and Muay Thai is elbows too, eh?
Muay Thai's elbows, you're allowed to clinch. You're allowed to sweep, like kick their legs out and drop them. You get points for dropping them.
Yep.
On the ground and stuff. K1, you're allowed to grab and do one strike, but you're not allowed to clinch or like grab.
Yeah, okay.
There's no elbows. Like it's sort of a little bit of a different rule set. Like it's more so just punching, throwing kicks and, a little bit of knees and stuff like that.
Yep.
But it's no, like Muay Thai, they'll grab onto each other and just drive knees in. And allowed to sweep and you get more points for that.
Yeah,
cool.
okay. Yeah, sweet as. So one thing also I wanted, I remember seeing a few years ago, you're on Bloke in a Bar. I can't remember what it was for. I think that was, do you know what I'm talking about?
I know the exact video.
I can't remember what it was. Was it like a handshake or something, or like you went to shake his hand? I can't remember what it was exactly.
So that was for the title fight in Rocky. And like, I was pretty out of it because obviously I did that weight cut and we weighed in, did the face off. And then I went to like shake his hand. He went to knuckled. And then he changed a shake, I changed a knuckle, and it like did that like 3 times, like changing. Then we ended up finally getting it. And one of the fellas from the bloke I was fighting, his gym, he edited it to have a song behind it. I forget the song, but it just made it like I was like watching it, and so everyone was making fun of me for it.
Yeah, because it blew up. Hey, I remember I was seeing it on Bloke in a Bar. I was like, "Fuck, I know that cunt." I was like,
It got 130K views. I
Pull
think.
the clip up. I want to see it, eh?
"Oh fuck, that would be."
It's ages. You have to like scroll through it ages. Like it was like a few year ago or so.
We'll have
But
to
I'll
find
show,
it,
I'll show
eh?
you
I'll put
after.
the Instagram, yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think you would have seen it.
No, yeah, no.
Oh, no, I hadn't.
Definitely,
No.
I haven't
definitely
seen
seen
it
it. It's
either.
good
Pretty
laugh.
funny.
Yeah.
Like my missus's brother and stuff would like when it happened, he'd like go to handshake and then you'd do that. And go,
But that would have given you a bit
Stir me
of,
up.
I guess, a bit of
Traction.
Yeah, traction for sure. And
Yeah.
like when you pull up the fights, people are like,
How that go?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. I didn't expect it to blow up because I remember he put it on his story and then I think Bloke in a Bar saw it and then they, put it up. But yeah, it went pretty big.
Yeah, mad.
yes, yeah. So also, you also do a bit of hunting, bro. That's kind of like your other side passion.
Yeah, I love hunting. So I grew up on the property of the family, cattle property and stuff. So to be honest, I didn't grow up doing that much hunting just because, at the start, like I was young and then going to school and stuff. And then, just being in town, I wasn't up there as much to do it. And my dad passed away when he was younger, so I didn't really get shown that much until my granddad took me out when I was roughly about 16, starting shooting rabbits and stuff.
Yep.
Just before dark. And then, just addiction from there.
Yeah.
It was good fun. But that same bloke who trained me for my last kickboxing fight, he is big into his hunting. He's got a business in like contract shooting. So like he'll go out like to farmers and whoever needs like something shot or
kind of like pest control. Yeah.
Pretty well, yeah. And he's got all the gear. So like he'll come, we get him up the farm, contracted up there, shoot and turn. I go out with him, and like we went out. So we got all thermal gear and stuff too.
Fuck, that's just expensive.
Yeah, I bought one handheld one. I think it cost me $2,000.
Yeah, was that just like a bit of like a binocular type thing?
Yeah, it's like a one eye.
Yeah.
One. But he went out and spent a bit of gear. He's got one that magnets to the car, and I sit in the passenger with an iPad on the dash, and I control it remotely.
Oh,
we just drive around.
Yeah, that's like full Meat Eaters. Have you watched that Netflix series?
Yeah, I love that series. That's awesome.
Dude. Makes me hungry, but
oh yeah. I'm sort of looking into getting into like butchering a lot of the game that I shoot. Like the rabbits and stuff I butcher up, but I just do that for the dogs. Not really interested in eating rabbits. I'm also want to do deer hunting, a bit of deer hunting, because there's a bit of properties around here that do have deer roaming around. So.
Yeah, because there used to be that wasn't there like a deer farm here like a few years ago over at Red Rover?
Yeah, there was. I'm not too sure entirely on what was the go of it, but I think all the deer got let out when it shut down. They sort of just bred up.
Yeah, it was good laugh. Me and Jordy were driving one night. I don't even know deer were in Australia. This is like I'm 18 and we were like driving on Red Rover. And I'm like, Jordan, holy fuck, that reel was massive, eh? We're getting closer, eh? Like, holy fuck, it's a deer. We're like, I was tripping balls. I don't even think you at the time thought that deer were in Australia.
Bro, I hadn't seen one yet, but
but we were just tripping out. Like, fuck, that is a big brew, cunt. Just getting, holy shit. Man, but nah, for sure, mate. Whereabouts is your property at?
Up at Crumbit Tops, you know, up there.
Yeah.
You drive through it, like you sort of come up a range, and then it's all sort of open, and there's a shed up to the left. You keep driving through, and you drive through two houses that are sort of like situated like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been up there much or seen it.
Not really, yeah.
But yeah, that's our property up there.
Yeah,
so
cool.
Grandparents have theirs, and then mum and my dad had a property right next to it too.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, it's clean.
you were also talking about that injury you got in your last fight. Would you like to share what happened there?
Yeah, righty. So I'll give you a run through. So obviously getting ready for the fight, got in and we started the kickbox. But the bloke I was fighting, tough fella, man. He's tough. Probably kept coming. Awesome fight. But right at the start, he hit me with this, he round kicked me in the side of the leg, dropped his foot down, and he lined up like this teep that was just perfect. Hit me right in the gut, center of the gut. Took all the wind out of me right at the start of the fight, and I was like, I couldn't breathe, so I just kept pushing, got me breath back and stuff, and then pushed through the fight, went right to the end, ended up getting the win, and then after that, obviously having a few beers and bloody rums and stuff. And
oh fuck! So that far post fight, you were like full on the piss and everything.
Yeah, I was having a few, and then I was like, I was pretty sore, and I was like, go home. Everyone's sort of leaving. The fight done because I was the co-main event, and then we sort of went home with the missus and stuff, and then got home like feeling a little bit like tight in my gut, and then I'm like bending over and I'm hunching over, and it was just painful. And then I was like at the point to laying on the ground, just curled up. Like I begged for the ambulance. It hurt so much. It was like in me pancreas. And then I started have spewing because I had like a little bit of a concussion. I was spewing blood up. So I thought I was internally bleeding pretty well. Ambulance arrived. The pain sort of went away. Like I was all right. And I walked out and I was like, I'll probably be right. I don't even need the ambulance. And then they took me into the hospital. We were there all night up pretty well. And they were trying to figure out what it was, and the pain come back. I was pretty well maxed out in every drug they could give me, and it was still doing nothing. Like I was in pain for about 2 days straight. Like just, it sucked. Like, yeah, to the point where I was like curled up, and it would like come and go. The only thing that worked was fentanyl. And it worked for like 20 minutes and I'd like sink into the bed and I'd just feel no pain. And then it'd just come back after that. But yeah, I think, and the first thing that night they thought, oh, it's an internal bleed. I'm like, oh, great, here we go. And then they sort of couldn't figure out what it was. So he sent me up to Brisbane on the Royal Flying Doctors that night. Rocked up there. I was feeling a little bit better, still painful. And then they started doing x-rays and stuff, and they pretty well figured out that I had a 4 out of 5, so pretty serious trauma to my pancreas. The doctor, or the surgeon, he's like the big head surgeon there, like the pancreas and stuff, specializes in it, said like he had another kickboxer had this one injury before. I think he was Australian kickboxer. I'm not too sure. I didn't grab his name. I should have. But he actually split his pancreas. So they had to do a surgery on him.
Yeah. So what is your pancreas? Is that like your stomach or like?
I forget what part it plays in the digestive system, but it's pretty like, you know how people, when they drink a lot of alcohol, they can get pancreatitis? Like,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's sort of, and apparently that's really painful too. And I probably like would have felt the same pain they went, like people that get that through. So I think it's something to do with filtering, like sort of similar to your liver. I'm not too sure.
Yep.
I can't tell you exactly. But yeah, it was a 4 out of 5 trauma. It was pretty like damaged. And they were at the point of saying, all right, well, we're going to monitor this and see how it heals for a few days. And then like they were going to decide if I needed to go in for surgery. And it was a pretty major surgery. I think it was like a 4 or 5 hour surgery. And I would have been out for like months and months. And then, yeah, they sort of monitored it, did more x-rays. And I think by the 10th day, they were pretty confident in it healing up by itself.
Yeah, cool.
And then, yeah, from there, they said no, 3 months, no contact. And I was going away for work anyway up north. So I sort of just had a bit of a break from it and just, yeah, focused on putting some weight on, some muscle at that time.
Did they give you kind of like a meal plan or like where you can and can't eat, or wasn't
Not
that
really.
severe?
They said you can eat whatever. It's just no like hits or contact to it like while it's healing. And then they wanted 3 months, another scan or x-ray to just check over it, and they did that and they were happy with how it was healing. And I haven't had an issue since, like it's been fine. So
yeah, haven't been in that much pain for that long, like coming back to training and like getting into fights. Was that like in your subconscious kind of haunting you, like hoping it doesn't happen again?
Oh, a little bit. Mum and my girlfriend and whatnot were like, oh, no more fighting, no more fighting. I'm like, I'm going back. You're not stopping me. And it was sort of like worried, but at the time it's sort of a freak injury. Like I was talking to a lot of different fighters and it's like pretty freaky. Yeah. Pretty freak thing. Like I just didn't defend it right. He got me right in the right spot when I wasn't tensing.
Yep.
And being like, I didn't do that much core training. Like you'd think for a fighter, you got to do more. Like you'd be real strong in the core. Yeah. But at that point, I wasn't doing a lot of core stuff until now. Like I'm doing a lot more on building like now I'm doing gym and stuff. So, because like most of the time I was real skinny fighting and just had cardio and yeah.
Yep. So core strength is like a massive factor that you need to,
because it just protects all your insides. Like if you're tense and you got a strong, like you can absorb a lot more hits, like especially all the Muay Thai fellas, like you see them and they'll just take kicks for like ages and just keep pushing on. They won't get injured from it just because of their conditioning. Like, it's pretty full on.
And I guess having that bit of a time off, did that give you a lot more time to reflect and like actually look at your fighting, and you've kind of gone into it with a new strategy and new mindset, or?
Yeah, well, sort of like I want to be a lot more prepared for me fights in defensive way because I'm a very aggressive fighter. So like I like to be always throwing the shots and pushing, and I wasn't focused on like my defense. And like I would chew a fair few punches, but that would be all right. I'd be able to push through, but I just need, now that I'm going up, I need I want to focus more on my defense and stuff.
Yep. So you like to control the fight a lot more. You're kind of like moving them in the corners and
protect myself a lot more. Yep. So I'm less prone to injuries. Like me second fight, me fourth fight, like all had pretty well mild concussion. Like, yeah, I just want to be able to push through fights and be a lot more defensive and smarter about it. Because like my second fight was pretty well a brawl. Like I just sort of went in. I had the mindset to like win and stuff, but I sort of was a bit sloppy, like real sloppy, and I was eating a fair few shots, which was all right. Like they weren't enough to do damage, but they were enough over time to just like, concuss me.
Yep. I guess like in the like sports like NFL and rugby and that, concussion's actually a massive thing that's coming out now.
Yeah.
Is that big in MMA too? Like even the refs are like getting more trained in that area where they can tell if someone's like, obviously it's always been a thing in boxing that they can, do you count the 10 and all that.
Yeah.
But is that something where you get to a stage where your head's like bobbling, they will just cut the fight and I'm like, nah, like in terms of your safety of concussion? Or
I think it depends on the way you, like the main thing they say to you, you walk in, the refs say, oh, all right, you must defend yourself at all times. If you're not defending yourself, I'll stop the fight pretty well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And they say now touch gloves if you want to, and then they take you to the corners. So if you're at a point where you're not defending yourself or you're just eating shots and you might be like, protecting your head, but you're not fighting back or progressing, they'll stop the fight. Like every ref's a bit different in that factor. But if you're like stumbling around and they're hitting you more and more, like they sort of stop it. Like boxing and kickboxing are a bit different because if you get knocked down, they do a count.
Yeah.
But MMA, none of that. Just till they want to stop it where they think.
Yeah, that was like Sean O'Malley's fight that just went.
Yeah.
Where he knocked out old mate and then he was like on the ground, like he like was out and then hit the ground and was awake again. And then Sean just came back in. But then the ref noticed that he was just like covering up. And it was quite controversial because they were like, oh, he was technically trying to defend himself. And they were saying we've never seen him in that position. Like, but he was out.
Yeah, he slept like before he hit the deck.
Yeah. Yeah, it sort of, it depends how hard you get hit. Like sometimes, like I've been hit like in training and stuff too, where like you're black for a second, then you're like back.
Yeah.
And like technically that's like a mild concussion. Like it depends. Like if you get hit right, you're going to be knocked out. But like if you get hit and drop, technically like you're knocked out for that second, then you can come back to conscience and defend yourself. Like it's a bit of, it just depends on the
Do you get that like tunnel vision too where like it's like everything's black around the certain area where your eyes are looking?
Sort of not. Like it just, I haven't really taken much notice in it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like you sort of get real focused on the fight and you can see it's more so blurry on the outside. Yeah. It's, that's pretty well how it is.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's funny how you have people like Nate Diaz though, and he'll just fucking start wandering in the fucking ring. Imagine being the ref like, what the fuck?
He's like, I love his style, just brawl.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, like
Street Fighter type.
Just
that
real
one where
hard.
he just like, who was he versing? I forget who he was versing. He just hammered him. He's like stumbling back and he's just like giving him the finger.
who was that?
Just like, that's so good.
How about that
love
fight with him and Jake Paul, eh? That was a piss take. He was just there for the paycheck, man.
Yeah, he's getting out. Like, you can tell he's punch drunk at this point. Like, he's just, all he, like, he's just got the toughest head on him. Like, he just absorbs, and that's how he wins. It's by pushing it the long way and just absorbing the punches.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fuck,
he's a weapon.
but there's been a few things coming up with him on, I think even the time he fought McGregor. Conor McGregor's just roasting the fuck out of him, mate. That's the funniest thing. Count to 5 for me, Nate. Do a dance.
Yeah.
Poor
Or like,
bloke.
I was watching one of the interviews and like the lady was like, he's like, all right, we're going to
Talk about money.
business. Yeah, all about money. And then he's like, Conor McGregor's like, he's like, all right, this is my show. Go get me a coffee. He's just like pushing Nate off, and Nate's just like, G'ing up, like, just getting pissed off.
Would you imagine like trying to go into a 5 Conor McGregor? Like, fuck, you just have to take it, eh? Because that man can shit talk.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Days.
I love that. But like, there is this shit talk. Everyone's sort of like, it's not humble. But It's funny, It's like just watching that.
But you wouldn't know him if he wasn't like that, eh? That's why he's Conor McGregor.
Yeah, that's
he brings the money, and Dana White's just fucking like laughing.
Yeah, it's also like a selling point, like just all the shit talk. Like you see most of the fighters at the end of the fight, they'll like dap up, give each other a hug, saying like, "Yeah, bro, like it's all love."
Yeah,
I'm just trying to sell a fight. Yeah.
Well, a big thing is like what I found in fighting, especially like amateur. Obviously, once you start getting to the point where you're bringing in pay-per-views and all that stuff, there is a lot of respect. Like all the fighters I've fought, I've gone in. Like there's been a little bit of like mind games to each other before. Like you sort of giving them that eye or staring at them from across the room, just like trying to get to their head a bit. And like I've had fighters' mates come up and just be like, "Oh, you're a pussy, you're gonna get flogged," and like just mind games. Yeah. But then after, like you just it's just you mates. You're getting a beer, like But that's just how it is. Like, and you probably find that with a lot of professional fighters too. Like there'll be always that mind game before, and then after it's like,
till the adrenaline, nerves just building up, just tension, hey.
Yeah.
And after it's over, you're like, yeah, sweet.
Yeah. All my fights, or most of them, have been near the end of the night. Or like this next fight's a co-main event. My last one was a co-main event. The fight before that, it was a boxing fight, but it wasn't too bad. It was about halfway through. But I just hate waiting. Like you're just sitting there watching the others, your butterflies in your stomach. I just want to hop in there now and just get it done with, and then just chill out and watch the fights. But yeah, it's just, it can get to you a little bit, but you just got to put it in the right direction. Just use it to your advantage.
How long before like your fight coming up, are you like in the training room, or not the training room, like the back room or whatever, like starting to get prepared and like ready to go out there?
I sort of just keep my mind off it. I just more so focus on like just the training. Like I try to not like get too caught up in it until the fight comes.
Yeah.
Just because obviously like if you get too caught up in it, you stress too much about it. Like I just take it each day as it is, just, train this day, train the next. Like this fight, like obviously I've been doing a lot more gym. I'm sort of been doing a bit of sparring with the boys and pads and stuff, and me mate Michael's been helping me out. We did some yesterday. It was good.
Yep.
So yeah, just pushing through and just getting the technique right.
I've heard a few different people saying that like, some boxing coaches don't like their athletes touching weights at all. And then some other coaches like actually like you said, like getting their boys in the gym lifting weights and get stronger. What are your thoughts on that? Obviously, like you're doing it, so are you finding that you're having more power in your striking? And
definitely more power. Well, funny enough, my mate said that yesterday, like with my crosses, he said that way like heaps strong, my kicks are stronger. Right. But the thing is with muscle mass, you chew more calories.
Yeah, and you get fatigued a lot quicker too.
Yeah, because you're throwing around all this weight.
Yep.
You tend to get fatigued.
Yep.
And if you're like, obviously I'm still somewhat not like massive, but like, yeah, you tend to pretty well gas yourself out quicker being bigger because you're pushing for a lot more energy, swinging those muscles, swinging that weight around.
Yep.
And you tend to be a little bit slower. But I've seen people like big blokes like at 100 kilos that can throw pretty quick, like really fast. And like it puts you like, and they're strong too. And it's like, can get pretty full on. Like, but then you see others and they're a lot slower. It just depends on what you train too. Like if you're training your punches every day, obviously you're going to slowly get quicker.
Yeah.
But yeah, being bigger, you tend to gas out more.
Yeah.
Because you're throwing around more weight and burning more calories, working the muscles.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. Right, brother. We'll kick into the future manifestations. So pretty much what's the future plans for you? What are you aiming for that you want to make a reality?
Pretty well, I want to keep going on with fighting. Like I don't really want to stop. But the main thing is I want to put a little bit of weight on. I'm trying to put a little bit more on and then probably sit at around the 86. Like I just cut down just because I've always sort of been skinny. I was just sort of getting sick of it. I just want to put a bit of weight on. And then, yeah, I'm happy to fight bigger, but I don't really want to do cuts or so much. I just want to stick to fighting at whatever weight I'm at and, yeah, keep going. Yeah. Do more kickboxing, more boxing. Yeah, but keep doing the weights. That's pretty well the plans for that. And it really depends on. Might do a few Muay Thai fights too, but I'm just sort of seeing where it goes and I'm naturally feel better and more composed to go to. Just trying to figure out, which style I like best.
Yeah, for sure. And what level do you want to take the sport? Do you want to reach to like the extremes of like the UFC or like, world championships, or are you just more happy just ticking away and just doing the little local comps around CQ and even Queensland?
I'm certainly keen to branch out and try and push higher and go to higher levels and possibly fight pro. Probably not to the extent of, depending on suppose how good I get, like quitting my job and stuff and the income. But it really depends because you obviously don't make much money until you're big.
Mm.
But if I do, succeed and go higher, that would definitely be a consideration. So
in Australia, is there enough money in the sport to be able to be financially supported by your fights, or is it more you have to go to like places like America to get that kind of coin?
I'm not entirely sure. I think like boxing's where it's at for the money. I know that for sure when you start getting big. But I think, it's just about building as much following as you can, because if you get popular enough in a situation like even fighting in Australia, you start bringing in sponsors.
Yep.
You could start your own business and like possibly gear or, boxing gloves, or open that and branch out to that while you're doing your fighting.
Yep.
So it'd sort of be, I think overseas is the better place to go.
Yeah.
Because that's where the big federations are that are popular.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. But in terms of that, like, you got like I said, I keep going back to UFC, but like all the Americans and that, but you still have like all the Aussies coming through and Kiwis, eh? Like you got Adesanya, Volk.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of talent coming out of the country here, eh?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I love watching them fight. Like they're unreal. Adesanya's.
What about the new young bloke, Jack? What's his last name? Is his name Jack? Have you seen him?
What MMA? You're like
the UFC fighter, yeah,
from Australia.
Yeah, he fought
what
over
card
in Perth.
did he fight in? Did he?
He fought on the Vulcan, the Islam.
Islam.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think I might know the name. I didn't watch that UFC card, but I think I might know who you're talking about.
Yeah, well, he's been blowing up recently in Australia, especially.
Yeah, right.
So it'd be cool to like maybe follow his path.
Yeah. Well, it sort of really depends at this point in time. Like I'm looking, like still trying to bring in a good enough income to go forward. Like, work sort of in the past year took over a bit with that injury, and I sort of focused on working away and bringing in a bit of money.
Yep.
And then, sort of getting back into it now.
Yeah.
It just, it really depends. Like I still want to have that good income coming in.
Yep.
But my main goal is to keep fighting, and if it does go somewhere, definitely push that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you doing 4 on 5 off? 5 on 4 off?
Yeah, that
your
lifestyle roster.
I guess you can kind of structure your training around that. Like you can go like 4 days, ass in the air, like flat out. And then you can kind of have like those days that you at work, even though you're doing 12-hour days, you can kind of like use those days as your rest days. Is that kind of how you're structuring your training at the moment?
Yeah, well, I'm lucky enough because I work with Michael, my mate, who helped me with that fight. He'll we train together. He helps, hold pads and push.
Yeah.
So like we'll work and we're like, oh, train tonight. Yep, we'll go train.
Yeah, that's good, bro.
And then like nights might train in the morning after night shift. And I try to train as much as I can. Like I'll have a few rest days, but if it's doing weights or doing boxing stuff, that's at the moment. So,
yep.
But my main thing, put the weight on, cut down a little bit, just keep the calories in, but then, start training hard for a few fights and just focusing on that instead of the weights.
Yep. 100%, bro.
That'll be killer.
Yeah, sweet as.
Yeah.
That's fire, bro. Respect the journey. Respect the dream.
That's it.
And best of luck for September 9th.
Cheers for that. I'm keen as to get back.
Is that live streamed or?
I'm not too sure. I think there is a live stream for it.
Yeah, okay. That'll be on like Facebook.
Yeah, I think they have a website which you can. I think it costs like $10 or something to go in to get it. Or something like that. I'm not too sure. I have to have a look at it. But yeah, I think they do live stream it.
Yeah.
Well, most fight nights they do.
Yeah. Let's go, bro. 100%. Righto. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Cheers for having me.
Appreciate
That was
you having me,
great.
bro. It was awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Wicked.
Sweet as. Well, I'll see you later.
Cheers.
Peace.